All right, let's talk about malfunctions. Typically, you're going to see two malfunctions on the range, or two categories of malfunctions on the range: phase one and phase two. That's might be more of a law enforcement categorization, but let's just talk about it. So if you're from the military, you'll hear immediate action and remedial action. Immediate action is just the remedy to that phase one malfunction, and remedial action is the remedy to that phase two malfunction. What is a phase one malfunction? Typically, it's going to be a failure to fire. So that could mean you have a bad cartridge, bad primer, whatever. You get a click instead of a boom. The other problem could be, and sometimes you see it more so with ARs than you do handguns, especially Glocks, but that magazine is not seated all the way. And when they racked it to load it up in the chamber of the round, it went right over the magazine and it didn't load it. So how do we fix this? You're shooting, you get the click instead of the bang, as you hear all the time. So all you're doing is you're tapping the bottom of the magazine, you're racking the slide, and then you're re-engaging, reassessing, shooting, whatever you're doing at that time, you continue through. So the other type is, or the other malfunction that's common, is a failure to eject. So what that means, let me pick up an empty case here. Usually what that's going to look like is that you have what's called a stovepipe. And so you can see that case is sticking out of the chamber there, and it hasn't fully ejected. So there is a technique that you see, and it's a decent technique, where you're basically putting your hand right here up to the stovepipe and you're working that through. The problem is with an optic is your hand stops right there. So if you don't have an optic, you can clear all the way through, usually pops that stovepipe out. So with an optic, usually what I'm going to do my tap, and then I'm just going to rotate the gun, tap, rotate, rack the slide, and re-engage, and that clears that malfunction. All right, let's try it with live rounds. Okay, so I have a magazine with live rounds and a dummy round loaded up in there. One good thing to do if you're shooting with a buddy, have him load up the dummy round so you don't know where it is and you're not gaming it. You can do multiple dummy rounds and staggered and live rounds. You could do it across several magazines, however you want to do it, but it's good to just throw them in there on random range days so you're not expecting it and you're working through that tap rack. So it's going to look like this. Click, tap, rack. So you got that bang, bang, that click, tap, rack, re-engage.